Welcome into the 49ers Report. I'm Chase Sr. Hope all of the faithful is getting set to have a fantastic weekend, and we have a great show on tap for today's 49ers Report. Minicamp winners and losers. A look at which players were studs and duds this week in Santa Clara. Mandatory minicamp for the Niners ran from Tuesday through Thursday. And it's pretty crazy, right? The next time that the Niners are together as a team collectively, late July for training camp. We're not sure exactly what that date is for the start time of training camp, but the Niners always get those practice sessions underway at the end of the month. And then things start to ratchet up, right? You have the preseason, the regular season after that, and hopefully this year a long playoff run, which results in a Lombardi trophy. Before we dive into our winners and losers, make sure you give me a follow on X and on Instagram. The handle is the same on both platforms, at Chase_Senior. Allows you to get to know me a little bit better, but I also have a lot of takes, opinions, break some news. I put out a lot of short-form content on my social media pages as well, in addition to the long-form videos here on this channel. Again, at Chase_Senior. Give me a follow. Say what's up in the DMs. Minicamp winner number one, 49ers running back Christian McCaffrey, the reigning Offensive Player of the Year who finished top 5 in MVP voting. And it's pretty easy to see why McCaffrey is a winner here, because he got the deal that he was seeking. I firmly believe that Christian McCaffrey was not at OTAs because he was looking for a new contract or some guaranteed money. He's able to cross off both of those boxes. A 2-year extension, which averages out to be $19 million per year. So that 2-year deal will total up to $38 million. The deal will run through 2027. So those 2 years tax on top of the 2 years that he had remaining on his deal. He also gets an additional $8 million over what he was supposed to get in the first 2 years, because previously he had no guaranteed money left on his contract. And then speaking of the guaranteed cash, $24 million in guaranteed money on that 2-year extension. And once again, CMC resetting the running back market. Winner number two, 31st overall pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, wide receiver out of Florida, Ricky Pearsall. With Brandon Aiyuk holding out, not attending mandatory minicamp because he's still seeking a contract extension, Pearsall continued to get steady reps. And in a complicated, complex offensive system that Kyle Shanahan runs, anytime a young player who's trying to get some playing time can get seasoning, reps, experience, and then learn the physicality and the speed of the NFL game, all of that is very important as a rookie. As for how he performed, showed off the good route running, able to get open pretty consistently against some backups, but still, that's pretty notable. And he made a couple of good plays throughout the spring. I'm talking OTAs, I'm talking minicamp as well. Winner number three, second-year tight end Brayden Willis, who was taken by the Niners in the 7th round of the 2023 draft out of Oklahoma. And he, too, enjoyed a pretty good spring for San Francisco. This tight end competition behind George Kittle is a fascinating one because it's up for grabs. Will it be Brayden Willis? Will it be Cam Latu? Will it be Mason Pline? Eric Saubert is a veteran, well-traveled tight end. Brayden Willis has an opportunity here to grab that backup tight end spot behind Kittle, and for him, that's a win coming out of these spring practices. He's also a very interesting player. He played H-back and tight end at Oklahoma. He was one of the leaders for tight ends at picking up yards after contact across the country at the college level. Good blocker, also has some really good special teams ability. Next up, winner number 4, Darrell Luter Jr., the second-year corner. And there have been some conflicting practice observations, but I was watching Larry Krueger's video, and he said Darrell Luter Jr. has taken some steps here. He's made some really good plays throughout the spring, making strides at corner after being injured much of his rookie year. Of course, he was unfortunately involved in the play with Ray McCloud on the punt return when the ball went off of his foot, kind of in the wrong place at the wrong time. But this Niners defensive backroom is very, very deep, and I want to see how Luter can perform when the pads are on and when the real bullets are starting to fly. Maybe the biggest winner coming out of mandatory minicamp is second-year linebacker Dee Winters. And outside of Christian McCaffrey, of course, a lot of these players are younger players. But Fred Warner is a three-time first-team All-Pro, the ultimate team captain for San Francisco. He's missed one game in 6 years. He knows the linebacker position very, very well. And this is what he had to say about Winters making some leaps forward. I think Dee has probably had the best OTA out of anybody on the team. I feel like he's coming along since last year. I remember he came in as a rookie, was struggling to learn the plays, trying to get in shape, and all of those little things that you got to learn as a professional. And just coming in this year, he's been on it. He's making plays left and right, came in great shape during the OTAs, so he set himself up to have a great training camp. You know he's going to train hard this summer and have a chance. And the Dre Greenlaw holdover plan is also going to be a pretty good roster competition because I just don't see Greenlaw coming back for a while. Halfway point of the year, maybe a little bit later. I mean, he tore his Achilles in February. The Niners did sign Devondre Campbell, who said he's loving football once again after a couple of frustrating years with the Green Bay Packers. Devondre Campbell, Dee Winters, Jalen Graham. You look at a player like Tatum Bethune, who was drafted in the 7th round. You throw Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles in there. The Niners, once again, deep at the linebacker spot. Another winner here, Brock Purdy, because the consensus from OTAs and from minicamp is that Purdy has come into this year with more swagger. Aaron Banks said that specifically, that Purdy entered the practices with more swagger, which is what you want to see from a leader. And then when you hear some of the media members on hand saying noticeably that he is taking control of this team, that the team marches by the beat of his drum going into year 3, arrows pointing up once again for Purdy. More notes here for some winners or partial winners. Jordan Mason got a lot of RB1 reps during Wednesday's practice. He's really made some strides as far as catching the football. He's got to do that to improve his chances of, one, making the roster, which I think he will, because I'm a believer in his talent with how hard he runs, how physical he is, how he can break tackles and pick up yards after contact. But if he just wants to get more playing time, right? So Jordan Mason catching the football and getting some RB1 reps, notable stuff. Isaac Yiadom continues to impress. We've talked here on this show how he could be one of those kind of breakout candidates going into this year for San Francisco. The analytical numbers last year from Pro Football Focus, he was the top 15, 20, 25 cornerback by a lot of different metrics. And then Ben Bartch with Jake Brendel out with knee tendonitis, and then John Feliciano not partaking, Ben Bartch getting first-team snaps at that center spot. We're talking some Niner football. Anytime we can do that, I get juiced up and pumped up. I'm hyped. So give me a bang, bang, Niner gang down in the chat. Father's Day is coming up next Sunday. Have you gotten your dad anything yet? If not, even if you have, get him something else. These 49ers #1 dad shirts, the perfect shirts for Father's Day. And they're on sale thanks to our friends at Fanatics. Use that link down below, chatsports.com/49dad, so that you can make your dad smile and he can rep the Niners whenever he wants. Minicamp losers now. Joshua Dobbs, the backup quarterback, and he's the backup quarterback at least as of right now. Can Brandon Allen, Tanner Mordecai challenge him? I still think that Josh Dobbs is in a good spot to be QB2 behind Brock Purdy, but if Purdy were to get hurt, Niners' hopes of winning the Super Bowl might go down the toilet if Josh Dobbs has to play an extended period of time. Why he's a loser? He's been in the league for a little while. He's been able to master playbooks very, very quickly. He just hasn't really done anything eye-opening, anything head-turning, nothing really all that special. I guess a good word for it is the word right below me. Underwhelming is what Josh Dobbs has been. As a vet, you expect him to be accurate, to complete a lot of passes. Aerospace engineer, very, very smart. We've seen him in games play well, but sometimes he plays well because he makes plays with his legs, improvisationally. Does he struggle in structure? Does he have to make plays out of structure? You can't really make a lot of plays out of structure in the spring. Samuel Womack, loser #2. And we've talked so much about how the cornerback position is so deep on this football team right now. you have other players stepping up at a deep position. So when you struggle as a player, that becomes magnified, and your struggles become magnified because other players are taking advantage of the opportunity at a very deep position. And when we talk about this depth, we talk about it in a good way because you're like, the Niners have so many quality corners. So then the corners that struggle, those are the ones who kind of stand out. And Womack, he struggled in the spring. Ronnie Bell, loser number 3. I am a believer in the player. If he does not make the Niners 53-man roster, I think that he can go somewhere else, and I think that he can be a successful NFL player. Why do I believe that? Because he showed me last year. He showed me in the preseason where he had that little Deebo Samuel light type of element to his game, where in a phone booth he can make you miss, run through you, break an arm tackle, break an ankle tackle, run over you, run through you, and pick up yards after the catch. He's a physical player. And in the preseason last year, he was tough AF. Against the Giants, he had that really nice touchdown catch. So I like Ronnie Bell. He has promise, but it's going to be a numbers game at wide receiver because the Niners are also very deep there. And again, when you struggle at a deep position and you drop the football like Ronnie Bell has done a couple of times during the spring, that becomes magnified. Catch the rock, you'll be in a good spot. Brandon Aiyuk has no trouble catching the rock. Right now, he's just having an issue catching the bag. Wants a new contract, hasn't gotten it yet. And on day 1 of mandatory minicamp, what happened on Tuesday? Christian McCaffrey got a new deal, and Aiyuk is still at that one. Are the Niners even going to sign Brandon Aiyuk? That is starting to become a question, according to Matt Maiocco, NBC Sports Bay Area, who said this. This one just feels a little bit different because they've already paid all these guys, and at some point, the money or the cap space just kind of runs out. And when you have a team full of really good players, teams can't keep everybody, and you just kind of wonder what's going to happen with Brandon Aiyuk. Do they really want to pay him the going rate for wide receivers, or do they think that maybe the money can be allocated in other areas? Bracing for Brock Purdy's big contract, it'll be really interesting to see how all of this plays out. It's entirely possible that the 49ers don't sign him to a long-term contract and let him play out the final year of his deal and see where it goes from there, maybe kick the can down the road a little bit. I talked about that and shared my thoughts and opinions on last night's show. I was watching the NBA Finals. I see this stuff trickling out from Maiocco and TJ Houshmandzadeh, who said, all Aiyuk wants is the Amon-Ra St. Brown deal. And I'm like, I got to do a video during halftime. That's what I did. And for Maiocco, he is what you call a Big J, an old school journalist. I mean that as a compliment. He is not going to throw stuff on the wall and hope that it sticks. He's not going to talk about things that he doesn't believe has legs. He's not going to be a part of this hot take opinion sports media culture because he is that old school J. He's also close with Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch. He does sit-downs with them almost every week during the regular season. He has shared on X that he tweets with head coach Kyle Shanahan. He knows this organization very, very well, and I don't think that he just says this if he doesn't mean it, or at least that it's partially true or could happen. So I take stock in what Maiocco has to say as compared to other reporters who don't do as good of a job, because Maiocco might be the best Niner reporter out there. Who are your biggest winners and losers from minicamp? As always, we want to hear from the faithful right here on the Niners Report. Hope you all have a fun-packed weekend, and be on the lookout for more content because we have a lot of shows coming your way this weekend. I hope you check them out.